Ambassador Kim Hanna walked through the massive crystal hallways of the Galactic Council Station. The walls glowed with soft blue light that hurt her human eyes. She had been traveling for 3 months to reach this place, and now she stood at the center of galactic power. General Park Mio walked beside her, his military uniform looking simple next to the strange alien architecture around them. Behind them came Dr. Lee Ji-hun, their translator, and 3 other human diplomats. All of them knew this meeting would decide humanity's future. The main chamber was enormous. 12 different alien species sat in a circle around the humans. Each species looked completely different from anything on Earth. Some were made of living crystal that sang when they talked. Others looked like giant insects with shiny black shells. The energy beings floated in the air like living lightning. At the center of the room stood the Zephyrian leader. It was 10 feet tall and made of blue-white crystal that sparkled in the light. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. The species that calls itself humanity has been brought here for judgment. The crystal being said. Its voice filled the entire chamber. You have developed faster than light travel, without permission. You have expanded into star systems without asking. This behavior cannot continue. Dr. Lee Ji-hun quickly translated the alien text that appeared in the air above them. His face went pale as he read the terms being offered to humanity. One of the insect-like hive queens stepped forward. Her compound eyes reflected the chamber's light like mirrors. Your species is young and does not understand galactic law. We will teach you how to behave properly. The terms appeared on floating screens around the room. Hannah read them carefully, her heart sinking with each line. Humanity would have to give up 80% of their military ships. Every human colony would be watched by alien overseers. Earth would have to send massive amounts of rare metals to the Council every year. These are very generous terms, another alien said. This one looked like a walking tree made of metal. Many species have been given much worse choices. General Park leaned close to Hannah and whispered in Korean, "This is a negotiation. They're telling us to surrender or die." The Zephyrian leader's voice rang out again. 47 species have accepted similar terms and joined our peaceful galaxy. They're all happy and well cared for under our protection. Hannah looked at the alien faces around her. Some looked bored, as if this was a routine matter. Others seemed amused by humanity's situation. None of them looked like they expected any real discussion. What if we refuse these terms? Hannah asked. The chamber fell silent. Several aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. The Zephyrian leader's crystals glowed brighter. Young species always ask this question, it said. The answer is always the same. Those who refuse our generous offer face the full might of our combined fleets. No species has ever survived such an encounter. A new alien spoke up from the back of the chamber. This one looked like a giant jellyfish floating in a bubble of water. Your primitive fusion engines could barely reach your nearest star neighbors. Our weapons can destroy entire solar systems. Surely you understand the difference in our capabilities. Dr. Lee Ji-hun continued translating the streams of alien text. Each new piece of information made their situation look worse. The Council controlled thousands of worlds. Their combined fleets numbered in the millions of ships. Their technology was thousands of years ahead of anything humans had publicly shown. We have prepared comfortable reservation worlds for your people, the Hive Queen said, clicking her mandibles together. You will be given everything you need to live peaceful lives under our guidance. Hannah noticed something strange in how the aliens talked. They spoke about humanity like parents talking about difficult children. There was no anger or hatred, just a kind of tired patience with another primitive species that didn't understand its place. How long do we have to make our decision? General Park asked. The Zephyrian leader's crystals chimed softly. You have 1 rotation of your home world. 24 of your hours, as we understand your time system. This is more time than most species receive. As the formal session ended, the aliens began to leave the chamber. They talked among themselves in their various languages, but the translation systems let the humans understand fragments of their conversations. Another routine integration. One said, "They always think they're special at first," said another. "The military resistance usually lasts less than a week." The humans were escorted to guest quarters on the station. Their rooms were comfortable, but clearly designed for prisoners rather than guests. Guards were posted outside, though they were called guides in the diplomatic language. That night, Hannah sat with her team and reviewed everything they had learned. The aliens were completely confident in their superiority. They had done this many times before and expected the same result. They think we're just another primitive species they can easily control, Dr. Lee said quietly. General Park smiled grimly. Good. Let them keep thinking that. Outside their windows, they could see the alien fleet patrolling the station. Hundreds of ships moved in perfect formation, their weapons openly displayed. It was meant to be a show of overwhelming force. But Hannah noticed something the aliens had missed. Hidden among the human diplomatic ships were vessels that didn't quite match the others. Their crews moved with military precision despite wearing civilian clothes. And deep in the ship's holds, equipment hummed with energies the aliens couldn't detect. The first phase was complete. Humanity now knew exactly what they were dealing with. Captain Beck Jywin leaned against the observation deck railing, pretending to look nervous as alien patrol ships glided past the human fleet. She wore a simple colonial officer's uniform and carried an old-fashioned datapad that made her look like a backwater administrator. Look at how they ignore us, she whispered to Lieutenant Nam Do-Hyun, who was studying star charts on his tablet. To any watching aliens, they looked like two humans overwhelmed by the advanced technology around them. But Do-Hyun wasn't really reading star charts. His fingers moved in careful patterns across the screen, sending coded messages to hidden systems throughout the human fleet. Every alien ship movement was being recorded and analyzed. The Luminarchs just flew right past our sensor array, Do-Hyun said quietly. They're not even trying to hide their communication frequencies. 3 days of negotiations had given humanity more information about Council technology than 50 years of long-distance observation. The aliens were so confident in their superiority that they didn't bother with basic security around the primitive humans. Dr. Kong Woozing emerged from the lower decks wearing dirty maintenance coveralls. Oil stains covered his hands, and he looked frustrated. Any alien watching would see a mechanic struggling with old human technology. How's our hyperdrive repair coming? Captain Beck asked loudly, knowing alien translators were listening to everything. Still having problems, Woozing replied, wiping his hands on a rag. These old Earth engines weren't built for deep space. We're leaking exotic particles all over the place. A Zephyrian patrol ship moved closer to investigate. Its crystal hull glowed as it scanned the human vessel. The alien sensors passed right through humanity's real technology, seeing only what they expected to see: crude fusion engines and primitive electronics. What the Zephyrians missed was the quantum displacement field hidden in the ship's hull. The leaked exotic particles were actually a sophisticated scanning system that was mapping every alien vessel in the area. In the diplomatic quarters, Ambassador Hannah was reviewing the day's meetings with her team. The aliens had spent hours explaining why humanity needed their guidance. They talked about human history, like teachers discussing badly behaved students. They keep mentioning their integration database, said Dr. Song Hyunwoo, their cultural specialist. 47 different species have accepted council control rather than fight. They're very proud of this record. What they don't realize, General Park said softly, is that we've been preparing for this meeting for decades. Every deep space probe we launched wasn't looking for new planets. It was mapping council territories. The aliens saw humanity's expansion into space as random and chaotic. Human colonies seemed to be scattered across dozens of star systems with no clear pattern. But there was a pattern one the council couldn't see. Dr. Kim Seo-won was monitoring alien communications from her workstation. The translation computers made her look like a simple linguist, but she was actually humanity's top expert in quantum cryptography. The Hive Queens are planning a demonstration, she reported. They want to show us how easily they destroyed the last species that refused their terms. Perfect, Hannah said. Let them tell us exactly how their weapons work. Outside the human ships, more council vessels arrived to witness what they expected would be humanity's surrender. The alien crew celebrated early, sharing stories about previous integrations over open communication channels. Commander O Sunwoo listened to these conversations from a communications deck. The aliens talk about human technology, like adults discussing children's toys. They found human fusion drives quaint and human computers adorably simple. If only they knew what those simple computers were really capable of. Hidden in every human ship were quantum processing systems that existed partially outside normal space-time. The alien sensors couldn't detect technology that didn't fully exist in their dimension. They're bringing in their museum ships. O reported with hidden amusement. Ancient vessels they use to show primitive species how outclassed they are. The museum ships were indeed impressive. Massive alien dreadnoughts that had conquered dozens of worlds floated past the human fleet like mechanical gods. Their crews transmitted detailed specifications of their weapons, expecting the humans to be terrified. Instead, Dr. Yoon Sung carefully recorded every detail. As the expedition's physicist, he understood exactly how to turn the aliens' own technology against them. The most dangerous moment came when a group of energy beings called Luminarchs decided to demonstrate their power. They showed the humans how they could manipulate matter at the atomic level, turning asteroids into different elements with just their thoughts. Fascinating, Dr. Lee Ji-hun said, watching the display. Your species must have evolved this ability over millions of years. Indeed, the lead Luminarch replied proudly. We are beings of pure energy, unbound by the physical limitations that restrict primitive matter-based life forms. What the Luminarch didn't realize was that Dr. Lee was recording the exact quantum frequencies it used. Human scientists have been theorizing about energy manipulation for years, and now they had a perfect example to study. As the second day of talks ended, the human delegation returned to their ships. The aliens felt confident that humanity was properly intimidated. The primitive species would surely accept council terms rather than face annihilation. But in the hidden depths of human vessels, different preparations were being made. The broken engines were actually charging exotic matter weapons. The primitive computers were calculating probability matrices that would make reality itself a weapon. The aliens had spent 3 days showing humanity exactly how advanced and powerful they were. They had demonstrated their technology, revealed their tactics, and explained their strategies in perfect detail. They had no idea they had just given humanity everything needed to destroy them. The morning of the 4th day brought humanity's answer. Ambassador Hannah stood before the full Galactic Council Assembly, her voice calm and steady as she delivered the words that would change everything. We have carefully considered your offer. We must decline your terms. Instead, we propose a treaty between equals, shared technology, mutual defense, and equal representation in all council decisions. The chamber erupted in what sounded like alien laughter. The Zephyrian leader's crystal body rang like broken bells as it shook with amusement. Equals? You're insects who learned to fly yesterday. Try and negotiate with eagles who have ruled the skies for thousands of years. The Hive Queen clicked her mandibles together in dismissal. Your pathetic fusion drives take months to travel between nearby stars. Our fleets cross the galaxy in days. What could you possibly offer beings like us? Dr. Zhang, Suyang stepped forward with a simple data pad in her hands. She had been introduced as humanity's archaeological specialist, someone who studied old alien ruins. The council members had barely noticed her during the previous days. Perhaps this will help explain our position, she said quietly, activating the device. Holographic displays filled the air above the council chamber. But instead of showing human technology, they displayed perfect technical specifications of every alien system in the room. Zephyrian quantum resonance frequencies, Luminarch energy distribution patterns, Hive Queen pheromone command structures, even the secret weapon systems the aliens thought they had kept hidden. The chamber fell completely silent. We have been studying all of you for quite some time, Dr. Zhang said in the same quiet voice. Every diplomatic contact, every trade mission, every cultural exchange over the past century has been educational. General Park's communication device chimed with an incoming message. He read it aloud to the stunned aliens. Terran Defense Command reports all civilian populations have been safely relocated. Colonial infrastructure has switched to military protocols. All systems are ready. He looked up at the alien faces around him. You have 72 hours to reconsider your position. The Hive Queen reared back on her hind legs, compound eyes flashing with rage. You dare threaten the Council? Our combined fleets will burn your primitive worlds to ash and... Her words died as every screen in the chamber flickered and changed. Instead of Council propaganda and star charts, they now showed live feeds from across the galaxy. Human mining operations were dropping their disguises, revealing construction yards larger than small moons. Colony ships were unfolding into structures that made the Council's greatest battle stations look like toys. Threaten? Hannah asked with raised eyebrows. We are simply showing you what equals actually look like. The largest display screen showed Earth's moon, where massive construction bays were opening for the first time in decades. Ships emerged that seemed to bend light around themselves, their hulls reflecting stars that shouldn't be visible from that angle. Commander Lim Jaewon's voice echoed from the display. Terran Expeditionary Force is fully operational. Quantum communication networks are active across all sectors. Probability manipulation systems are online and ready for deployment. The Zephyrian leader's harmonic voice cracked like breaking glass. This is impossible. Our sensor networks would have detected any major construction projects. We monitor every species in the galaxy. Your sensors detect what we allow them to detect. Dr. Kim Soo-won interrupted from her position at the communication station. We have been testing your detection methods for 50 years. Every survey probe you sent to monitor our expansion sent back exactly the information we wanted you to receive. Through the chamber's transparent walls, Council security forces could be seen scrambling to defensive positions. Emergency alarms were sounding throughout the station as alien commanders tried to understand what they were seeing. More displays activated around the chamber. They showed human facilities that had been hidden inside asteroids, disguised as natural phenomena, or placed in dimensions the aliens didn't know existed. Entire fleets of ships that existed in folded space-time, invisible to normal sensors, but ready to unfold into reality at a moment's notice. Every system you showed us, every weapon you demonstrated, every tactical doctrine you explained, General Park said calmly, has been analyzed and countered. We know how your Hive Queens communicate with their drones. We understand Zephyrian crystal harmonics. We have mapped Luminarch energy signatures down to the quantum level. The energy being representatives began to flicker with what might have been fear. You have been preparing for war this entire time, one of them said. The peace talks were just a deception. Not a deception, Hannah corrected. An intelligence-gathering operation. We needed to confirm our data and see if you were truly as arrogant as our models predicted. She paused, looking around the chamber. You exceeded our expectations. Dr. Yoon Sung activated another display showing the immediate area around the Council station. What appeared to be empty space was now revealed to be filled with human ships that had been there all along, hidden by technology the aliens couldn't comprehend. The talks are over, Hannah announced as the human delegation prepared to leave. You wanted to see humanity's answer to your ultimatum. This is it. As they walked toward the exit, the scope of human preparation became clear. The primitive species have been living among the Council territories for decades, studying every weakness, preparing every countermeasure, and waiting for exactly the right moment to reveal themselves. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had never asked for permission to join the Council. They had simply been waiting for the proper opportunity to announce that the Council's time in power was over. 6 months after the peace talks collapsed, Admiral Im Yujin stood on the bridge of her ship, watching something impossible happen. Through the quantum link sensors, she observed a Zephyrian battle fleet of 300 ships simply vanish from existence. Probability cascade complete, reported Captain Hong Minji from her station. The enemy fleet now exists in a timeline where they decided not to attack us. They are currently having a peaceful dinner on their home world instead of fighting a war. The aliens had expected normal space battles. They thought humans would meet them with fleets of ships, fight for territory, and eventually surrender when their resources ran out. Instead, humanity was fighting a war against the basic rules of reality itself. Dr. Shin Taeyong monitored the broader conflict from Luna Command, deep beneath the moon's surface. His screen showed battles happening in ways that should have been impossible. Human forces seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Temporal displacement successful at Proxima, he reported to General Quan Min Su. The Luminarch Third Fleet is now fighting a battle that we already won 3 days ago. They keep losing the same fight over and over. The Hive Queens have been the first alien species to truly understand what they faced. Commander Co. Haeung had infiltrated their command structure not by sneaking past their guards, but by learning to think exactly like they did. Pheromone Override confirmed. Haeung transmitted from deep within Hive territory. I have been broadcasting Queen-level dominance commands for 6 hours. The warrior drones are following human battle plans and believe they came up with the ideas themselves. Each alien civilization discovered that humanity had spent decades studying not just their technology, but their minds. Humans had learned how each species thought what they feared, and how their biology actually worked. The energy being Luminarchs found this out in the most terrifying way possible. Dr. Onjisu had discovered how to edit their quantum signatures while they were still alive. Luminarchs who had existed as pure energy for millions of years suddenly found themselves forced into physical bodies, or split into multiple copies of themselves, or made to experience time backwards. The Hegemony Fleet is requesting immediate ceasefire, reported Commander Park Sung-gi from the Vega sector. We convinced their home star to change its fusion process. Their planet now has 18-hour days and purple sunlight. Their crops are all dying. But the most frightening discovery for the aliens was the scope of human preparation. Every peaceful contact over the past century had been reconnaissance. Every trade agreement had been a way to place human observers in alien territory. Every cultural exchange had been an opportunity to study alien weaknesses. Colonel Jean Woo Jin reviewed intelligence reports that would have seemed like fantasy to the aliens. The Zephyrians are starting to understand, he said with satisfaction. We didn't accidentally wander into their space and ask to join their club. We have been living among them, studying them, preparing for this exact moment since before their current leaders were even born. Human war was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of just destroying enemy fleets, humans attacked the concepts that made those fleets possible. Alien supply lines didn't just get cut. They were prevented from ever existing in the first place. Dr. Lee Minyuk demonstrated this when he erased an entire Zephyrian mining operation from history. The crystal beings arrived at their mining world to find that the planet had never contained the resources they came to extract. Their maps showed empty space where profitable mines should have been. It's not just changing reality. Dr. Lee explained to his confused alien prisoners, "We are editing the universe's source code. Your mining expedition was always pointless. You just didn't know it until now." The Council's attempts to rally their member species met with growing panic. Each civilization realized that humans had developed weapons specifically designed for their unique biology and psychology. The insectoid warriors found their hive mind communication hijacked by human quantum transmitters. Instead of receiving orders from their queens, they got instructions from human commanders who understood their instincts better than they did themselves. The machine intelligence species discovered that humans could introduce logical paradoxes directly into their processing cores. Entire fleets of robotic ships shut down as their artificial minds tried to solve problems that had no solution. Status report from all fronts. General Quan requested during the daily briefing. Sector 7. Enemy fleet trapped in a causal loop. They will arrive to attack us yesterday, which means they already lost tomorrow. Sector 12. Zephyrian crystal ships have been convinced they are made of a different type of crystal. They are dissolving. Sector 18. Luminarch energy beings have been split into their component frequencies. They now exist as a very pretty rainbow that cannot hurt anyone. The aliens had ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years using overwhelming force and advanced technology. They conquered planets, enslaved populations, and destroyed anyone who opposed them. Humanity had spent 100 years learning to wage war against existence itself. They didn't just defeat their enemies. They made their enemies defeat themselves by changing the fundamental nature of what it meant to be those enemies. When the surviving council members tried to understand how they had lost so completely, they realized the terrible truth. Humans hadn't just prepared for war. They had prepared to rewrite the rules of what war could be. The galaxy belonged to whoever was willing to think beyond the possible, and humanity had spent a century learning to make the impossible routine. Ambassador Hannah sat at a round table in what used to be the Galactic Council's throne room. The intimidating crystal towers had been replaced with simple furniture where everyone could sit at the same height. Through the windows, human construction ships worked alongside alien crews to rebuild the station according to new designs. The group of aliens who approached her table moved carefully, like animals who had learned to fear sudden movements. The Zephyrian leader, its crystal body now dim and cracked, spoke first in a voice that no longer rang with authority. "We have come to discuss surrender terms," it said quietly. Dr. Li Yinwu, humanity's new director of species relations, gestured to the empty chairs around the circular table. "There are no surrender terms to discuss. There is only the future we're going to build together." The surviving hive queen clicked her mandibles nervously. "You are not going to eliminate our species." Captain Yang Jiyoung, who now served as Director of Galactic Security, looked genuinely confused. "Why would we do that? We need your knowledge and skills. The galaxy is enormous, and humans cannot manage everything by ourselves." Over the next several hours, the aliens learned about humanity's actual plans. They had not fought a war of conquest or rule over other species. They had fought a war of liberation to free the galaxy from an oppressive system. "You are giving us representation based on our population and development level," the Luminarch delegate observed, its energy form flickering with confusion. "Not based on how powerful our military is or how long we have been in space." Dr. Cho Kongmin, head of the new Galactic Development Program, nodded. "Strange idea, isn't it? It turns out civilizations work much better when everyone benefits from success, not just the oldest bullies." The aliens struggled to understand humanity's post-war policies. Species that had served the Council for thousands of years were being offered real partnerships instead of master-servant relationships. Younger civilizations that had been held back by Council restrictions were receiving technology and assistance to help them grow. "But what do you gain from this?" the Zephyrian asked. "Power structures exist to benefit those at the top. That is how the universe works." Colonel Bei Jinwook smiled. "We gain a galaxy full of partners instead of slaves. Do you know what happens when you give a civilization the tools to succeed instead of just enough to survive? They create new things. They solve problems. They make discoveries that help everyone." As months passed, the transformation became impossible to ignore. Former Council territories began adopting human organizational methods. The rate of new discoveries and innovations increased dramatically as species were encouraged to develop their unique abilities instead of conforming to Council standards. Some alien civilizations, especially those who had profited most from the old oppressive system, fled to the galaxy's outer edges. Their refugees carried warnings about the species that had turned peace negotiations into a revolution, but fewer and fewer civilizations were willing to listen to them. The most dramatic change came when mixed species crews began working together for the first time in galactic history. Human adaptive thinking combined with alien specialized knowledge produced results that surpassed what either could achieve alone. Admiral Seo Donghyuk stood on the bridge of the GSS Harmony, watching a joint construction fleet building humanity's first deep space exploration vessel. The ship's mission was to travel beyond the known galaxy and discover what existed in the vast darkness between spiral arms. "The energy efficiency is incredible," reported the Luminarch engineer on his crew. "Human quantum manipulation combined with our energy conversion methods has created a propulsion system 30% more effective than either of our species could build separately." The Zephyrian navigator added, "The harmonic resonance between our crystal computation and human probability mathematics allows us to plot courses through dimensions we never knew existed." Even former enemies found themselves working side by side. The Hive Queen tactical officer had initially been suspicious of serving under human command, but gradually came to appreciate the collaborative approach. In the old system, only queens were allowed to make decisions, she explained to curious human officers. Worker castes like myself were never asked for our opinions, even though we often saw problems the queens missed. Now my tactical suggestions are heard and evaluated on their merit, not my biological role. The final session with the original Council survivors took place 1 year after the war's end. The aliens who had once demanded humanity's subjugation now sat as equals at the negotiating table. "We are beginning to understand your philosophy," the Zephyrian leader said. Its crystal body now glowed with renewed health and confidence. "You believe the universe belongs to those who are bold enough to claim it, but also wise enough to share it." Hannah nodded. The old council tried to control the galaxy by keeping others weak and dependent. "We are building something stronger, a community where every species can contribute their best qualities to shared goals." As humanity's exploration ships prepared for their journey beyond the galaxy, carrying crews from dozens of species united by common purpose rather than fear, the transformation was complete. The age of council dominance had ended. The age of true galactic civilization had begun. And at its heart was a simple human idea that had terrified the stars: that cooperation was stronger than conquest, and that the future belonged to those brave enough to build it together. The galaxy would never be the same.